All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, the Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I'm Linda McFadden. I'm your chair this afternoon. I'm joined by Richard Whitbread and Diane Knight on Zoom, our panel members. Our secretary today is Jason Robertson, and our assessor is Matthew Harling. Since everyone is here for the entire meeting, I won't read the next section. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. This session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items number 1, 2, 3, 10, and 11 on our docket today. Mr. Robertson, could you please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Harley.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Wesley Van Bruggen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, we'll begin with item number 1, 1810 Dublin. We're dealing with quantum. So, Mr. Assessor, if you'd like to start.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The file number is 22-513. The roll number is 07569021600. The address is 1810 Dublin Avenue, and the owner is 1810 Dublin Avenue Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $2,227,000. If you look at the bottom of page 1 of my brief, you'll see some property description information. So this parcel use is an industrial warehouse. It's a 1-story building. The actual year builds range from 1962 to 1994, which is also the same as the effective year builds. However, we're using an overall effective year build of 1972. The wall heights range from 18 to 22 feet. The land area is 51,085 square feet, with a plan area of 21,894 square feet, and a leasable area of 21,840 square feet, which gives us a land to plant area of 2.33. If we go to page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the requests for information have been received. The most recent sale on the subject was in March 26, 2018 for $1,850,000, and there are currently no subject property leases in place. If we go to page 3 of my brief, you'll see my income workup. So again, the subject property is 21,804 square feet of leasable area. We're applying a model rent of $6.63 a square foot, which gives us potential rent of $144,799. We're applying 6% or 7% for vacancy, which gives us $134,663 in effective gross income. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 a square foot as shortfall to cost to cover vacancy. This gives us an overall net operating income of $124,737. And we're applying a overall model capitalization rate of 5.60%, which gives us an estimated market value of $2,227,000. Turn to page 4 of my brief, you'll see my rent comparables. So my rent comparables range from 2018 to 2021. They range from 4 to 5 years in terms of lease terms. The leasable areas range from 15,000 to 29,589 square feet. The wall heights range from 15 feet to 18 feet. The effective year belts range from 1952 to 1969. And the net rents range from $6.50 a square foot to $8.78 a square foot. And in terms of location, these properties would be close to the subject. Notre Dame, King Edward, Sargent Avenue, these would all be close to the subject in the St. James area of the city of Winnipeg. If we turn to page 5 of my brief, you'll see some of the capitalization rate evidence. So our cap rate, we're applying again a model cap rate of 5.60%. So that falls within our 20th to 80th percentile cap rates that the city of Winnipeg applies to cap rates, or majority of cap rates will fall within that range. So, and then just looking at some of the other published rates, we are slightly lower than some of the published rates. Some of the factors that would be driving the cap rate would be factors such as age, size, location, wall height, land plan area. So those would be all the factors that would derive the cap rate. And again, we look at, for our cap rates, we're looking at sales in the market as a whole. So that's how we would derive our cap rate, the cap rate of 5.60%. Turn to page 6 of my brief. This is just a Municipal Assessment Act observed information. If we continue to page 7, we'll see a subject property map. So at the top, you'll just see where the subject property is in relation to on Dublin Avenue. So you'll see Dublin Avenue there, and then on the western side, you'll see Sherwin Road, and the eastern side, you'll see King Edward Street, so you can kind of an idea of where the subject property is situated. At the bottom of page 7, again, you'll just see the photo of the subject property, where it is on Dublin Avenue. Turning to page 8, these are some photos of the subject property. So at the top of the page, this is just the front view of the subject property. And going at the bottom, the second and third picture, this just would show different photos of the subject property from the right side and left side of the building. Turn to page 9, you'll see the overall parcel boundary, or the land area of the subject property, and just how the building is situated on the parcel of land. This continues on page 10, just showing another angle or another view of the subject from the front, and just showing it again the overview of the land, which continues at the bottom of page 10. And then lastly, on page 11, you'll just see the rear view of the subject property. Turn to page 12, you'll just see one final photo of the subject, just from a different angle. And then lastly, you'll see the income and expense mailer for the subject, which is they were compliant with the mailer information. This is a fully owner-occupied property, so there is no there are no tenants in place. And this continues on page 13, just the rest of the mailer. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the assessor?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We can just turn to page 9. Quick question.
1 second. Page 9. Yeah.
Excellent. So taking a look at this site, would this be a typically shaped industrial land parcel?
It's an industrial land parcel, but it is irregularly shaped. I won't deny that, just due to the railroad tracks. Yes.
Okay. I think that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
Yes. Have you visited the property, Matthew?
I visually, I drove by the property, but I wasn't physically in the property, no. So.
Okay. Have you visited any of the other properties? Save me asking the question every time.
Yeah, unfortunately, no, just due to time constraints, I unfortunately hadn't had time to inspect any of the properties.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Knight?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
I note from your capitalization rate chart that you have used a cap rate that's at quite at the low end for this property. Although it seems to be quite an old property, you're comfortable with that cap rate? It's a model-driven cap rate, is it?
Yes, the other cap rates would be model driven. So yes, I won't dispute it's slightly lower than your typical cap rate. But again, like, there's a, I said, we're looking at sales. When it comes to our cap rates, we look at the whole market for sales. So there will be some differences in sales. So we try our best to find sales that would be similar. So yes, I won't dispute there's a bit of it's slightly lower cap rate. I won't dispute that. So.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to go ahead, Mr. Van Bruggen?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So if we can open up our brief, and if we can turn to page 5, please. So on page 5, we have the requested assessment for this property. I won't go through the physical characteristics of the property as those are factual points. And for this particular property, our main issue is in regards to the capitalization rate. As mentioned, the property has been assessed with a 5.6% capitalization rate. MVP is requesting a capitalization rate of 6.5, resulting in an estimated market value of $1,919,000 for the property. Page 7 and 8 are the information provided by the City of Winnipeg for this particular property. This just highlights the capitalization rate applied at 5.6 on page 8. Page 7 or pages 9 to 12 are some exterior photos of the property. What's interesting to note, and you'll see on page 12, is that the property has bay doors only on the front of the building. There are no bay doors on the back or the side of the building, which is a little bit unusual for an industrial property in some cases, depending on the use of the property. The property, if we can turn to page 13. On page 13, we'll get started in terms of our regarding the information on the capitalization rate and the value of the property. The subject property has been assessed at a value of $102 per square foot, which is a 28.58% increase from the previous assessment cycle. We've taken a look at it. We've identified several sales, so 4 sales within the area. We can see these sales range in value from $66.16 up to $111.64, with a median of $89 per square foot. We've provided those tables or those sales there. You can see that 3 are in St. James Industrial Park and 1 is in Moray Park. They're all industrial warehouses. We took a look at the size of the buildings. The buildings range from about 18,810 square feet all the way to 23,429 square feet. The sale dates range from 2018 to 2020, and the sale prices range in value from 1.15 million. 1.550 million to 2.1 million. And taking a look at these, it does suggest that there is some market evidence supporting the fact that the property has been overassessed. We provided on page 14 a map of those sales, so you can see the subject property is located kind of in the middle of the map. I apologize, it's not maybe as clear as it could be. There should be an arrow pointing downward with subject property over top. You can see that 240 Sherwin is in very close proximity. Same thing with 25 Century Street, and then 700 Moray is in relatively close proximity. Page 15, we have our capitalization rate analysis. So using the sales that we provided previously, we've taken a look at the capitalization rate for the property. Unfortunately, as much as we would love to have the income parameters for the sales that we're transacting, unfortunately, that's not the case. So in order to calculate what a reasonable capitalization rate would be, we've employed a similar method similar to what the City of Winnipeg has done. So we've applied what we feel would be a reasonable rental rate to these properties. We've applied a 7% vacancy rate, expense allowance of 3%, operating costs of $3.85 a square foot to arrive at what the net operating income for these properties would be. Dividing the net operating income by the sale price gives us our capitalization rates. You can see our capitalization rates range from 5.12% up to 8.63%. Taking a look, we have an average of 6.65 and a median of 6.43. It's worth noting that the subject property is among the sales that we're looking at. You can see 1810 Dublin at the very bottom of that list. That property has we've calculated based on the methodology indicated capitalization rate of 6.73%. Based on these sales, it's M&P's position that a capitalization rate of 6.5% would be more reasonable to apply to the subject property, and is what has been used in our valuation. Page 16, we have our requested value for that property there. So you can see the property has been using that 6.5% capitalization rate with an in-place net operating income. We gather or arrive at a value of $1,919,034, truncated to $1,919,000. As well, it's worth noting that this property was purchased in 2018 for $1,850,000. So we are similar in terms of where we are with that sale price, but we are also realizing that properties are purchased for a lot of different reasons. That's why we're looking at comparable properties in the area when determining what a reasonable rate would be, or what a reasonable capitalization rate would be. The board turns with me to page 19. On page 19, we have the pictures of the sales used. So, of course, 1810 Dublin, we don't have a picture of, as we provided that earlier on. But we have 725 Century Street on the top of page 19, 700 Moray Street, located on the bottom of page 19. And then on page 20, we have 1240 Sherwin Road. Starting on page 22, continuing on to page 27, we have the sales, which are collected from the Johnson report. We provided those extracts there for the board's reference. And then starting on page 19, continuing on to page 51, we have information from the city of Winnipeg. So this would be information from the 2023 general reassessment. We won't go through it unless there's any specific questions from the board or from the assessment department. With that, we conclude our presentation, and we welcome any questions that there may be. Thank you very much.
Mr. Harlan, do you have any questions?
Just one quick question. So just page 15 of your brief, just looking at the capitalization rate information.
Sorry, Mr. Harlan, could you speak a little closer to your microphone, please? Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry. No, just a quick question on page 15, just the capitalization rate evidence you're showing here. I think you mentioned obviously unfortunately, I guess you weren't able to obtain the income information from these sales. So you've arrived at cap rates based on some information you felt were more appropriate. Like I know you've used some of the parameters of the city, and then I've noticed you use the 6.63 for the rent for all three of the four of the properties. So, but yeah, like you said, these aren't based on the actual income of the properties, I'm assuming, like you said. So
that's correct. Yeah. So when we take a look at the properties, we kind of have similar clear wall heights across the board. Subject property has a 16 to 18 clear wall height. The sales that we're using range from 12 to 18 feet clear wall height. So similar. Year built is similar in terms of 1957 to 1977. We're 1972, so kind of similar when we take a look at that. So that we felt that $6.63 rental rate was appropriate to apply when determining what a reasonable capitalization rate would be.
Okay, those are all the questions I have then. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
Yes. Is it fair to say that using a 6.5 cap rate would suggest you consider this building to be somewhat inferior?
Somewhat inferior. No,
as opposed to superior.
I mean, I guess we're. We do see there's some challenges with the property, slightly lower clear wall height, a little bit older of a building. Mainly our capitalization rate is primarily generated by sales that we feel are comparable within the market, and trying to determine what a reasonable capitalization rate for those sales would be.
Okay, so as opposed to looking at the building specifically, you're looking at your comparables to come to a cap rate.
Exactly. So we're trying to identify some sales that we feel would be reasonable or comparable within the market when trying to determine unreasonable cap for the property. So yes, and including within that would be the sale of the subject property within that range.
Have you visited this property?
I have not inspected the property myself, no.
Okay, and what about the other property? Save me asking you as well.
No, I have not.
Properties? Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Knight, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just have a question in regards to that page 15. That sale price is the actual sale price, not the price including commissions, correct?
That's correct. The actual transaction.
Yeah, that was what was registered at Land Titles. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I have no further questions, so if we can, do you have any summation, either of you?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm all right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll move on to number 2. Mr. Assessor, if you'd like to go ahead.
Thank you,
I
Madam
believe
Chair.
that's 2190 Notre Dame.
That's correct. Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22-409. The roll number is 0730139000. The address is 2190 Notre Dame Avenue, and the owner is 6524622 Manitoba Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a record date of April 1st, 2021 is $3,448,000. Looking at page 1 of my brief, you'll see the property description information. The parcel use is an industrial warehouse. It's a 1-story building. The effective year and actual year builds are 1968. The wall heights range from 12 to 29 feet. The land area is 102,747 square feet with a plan area of 32,845 and a leasable area of 32,845, which gives us a land to plan area of 3.13. If we go to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the request for information has been received. There are no recent sales. Last time this property sold was in November 2nd, 2012 for $2,850,000. And there are no subject property leases in place. If we turn to page 3 of my brief, you'll see some of my rent comparables. So my rent comparables range at lease start dates from 2018 to 2020. The lease terms range from 2 to 10 years. The leasable areas range from 27,504 square feet to 39,050 square feet. The wall heights range from 12 feet to 24 feet. The effective year builds range from 1959 to 1981. And the overall net rents range from $7.24 a square foot to $9.08 a square foot. And again, this property is on Notre Dame Avenue, so it'd be very close to buy to my comparables, particularly Hutchings, Sargent, St. James, Barrie. Bunting would be in the East Industrial, and Sutherland would be more of the central location of the city. If we turn to page 4 of my brief, you'll see my income workup. Again, we're applying a leasable area of 32,845 square feet, and we're applying a model rate of $7.34 a square foot. This gives us an overall potential rent of $241,082. We're applying 7% for vacancy loss, which gives us an effective gross income of $224,206. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, as well as $3.85 square foot shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $208,628. And we're applying an overall capitalization rate of 6.05%, which gives us the estimated market value of $3,448,000. Turn to page 5 of my brief, the capitalization rate information. So just looking under the industrial section. So again, we're applying a 6% cap for the subject. So it falls within the city of Winnipeg's 20th, 80th percentile cap rates for properties. And then just further looking at some of the other published rates, Colliers, CRB, Cushman & Wakefield. So that 6% also falls within the range they've indicated by their capitalization rate studies they have provided. So I believe our cap rate would be supported. Turning to page 6 of my brief, just the Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. Turning to page 7 of my brief, you'll see the subject property map. So the top of page 7, this is just where the subject is located on Notre Dame Avenue, and just seeing some of the other streets close by. At the bottom of page 7, this is just more of a closer in photo, just to show the subject property again further where it's located on Notre Dame Avenue. If we continue to page 8 of my brief, you'll see some photos of the subject. So at the bottom of page 8, this is the front of the view of the subject property. Now at the bottom of page 8, this is again just another view, just showing more of the building. You'll see at the front there's a smaller portion. This would be the office portion of the building. This is the one with the 12-foot wall heights, where the back portion is where the industrial warehouse portion would be with the higher wall heights. So if you continue to page 9, you'll just see another photo of the subject just from a different angle. And this continues on page 9. So then you can just see some of the loading bays they have in there and some of the parking. If we turn to page 10, you'll just see the subject property and where it's situated on the parcel of land. Just kind of get an overview of the whole building on the parcel of land. If you go to page 10, you'll just see another photo of the subject property, just from the front view, just an angled view. This is continued on page 11. So you'll see the western side of the building. So you'll see there's some loading bay doors on that side of the building. You can see some of the trailers that are parked there. Continuing on page 12, see the back of the building, they have some further doors. These are not typical loading bay doors, but they are doors they can load in. And then at the bottom of page 12, you'll just see some further loading bay doors at the bottom of page 12. And again, just the parcel it's situated on. Going to page 12, my brief, the income expense made of the subject property the owner has provided. And this continues on page 15. That concludes my presentation. I am open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have questions for the assessment, Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we could turn to page 5 of your brief, please.
Page 5, yeah.
So Colliers, CBRE, Cushman, Wakefield, they all look like they differentiate between industrial A and industrial B properties. How would you classify this property? This be classified as an industrial A property or industrial B property?
It's hard to really classify it as a specific number. I mean, A and B, and the definitions would be, some would be newer, potentially older. So it still falls within the range of looking, even if you look at Colliers, 6% is across the board A and B. I won't dispute there's a bit of discrepancy with the CRD and Cushman and Wakefield. So it's really, I don't really, it's hard to pigeonhole into one particular area, if you will. So, but I guess you could say it's more of a, if I had to say, I guess it would be more of a B just based on its age, wall height, location and such. So.
Okay. Thank you. I think that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread,
I have none. Thank you.
Ms. Knight.
No questions, thank you.
I have just one question, and that is that I noticed that this property actually has a much higher wall height and is around the same age, and yet the cap rate is significantly higher.
Well, for example, sorry.
Pardon me?
No, I was just going to say, like as I was kind of saying before in the previous property, there's various features that will affect the cap rate. Like for example, this one has a higher land to plan area. It does have a higher wall height. I understand what you're saying with the lower cap rate. So, like I said, it's also based on size, age, location. So I won't dispute that one. Maybe we did lower. I understand there's some similarities, but this one is a larger property. It's slightly larger too. So. There would be a little bit more risk involved in a bigger property for tenting it out than a smaller one. So that would be another reason for the higher cap rate. So.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. If the board will turn with me to page 5 of my brief, we'll get started on the points. I'll just give everyone a moment to get there.
I think we're good.
Thank you. So there's two issues that M&P is looking at. So the first would be the rental rate. So the property has, as previously indicated, has been assessed with a blended with a rental rate of $7.34. M&P is requesting a rental rate of $7 per square foot, as well as the capitalization rate. As mentioned, the property had previously mentioned, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 6.05%. M&P is requesting a capitalization rate of 7%. Based on these changes, M&P is requesting a value of $2,836,000 for the property. As a board will, page 6 and page 7 are just information from the city of Winnipeg. Page 8 to 10 is some pictures of the property, overhead views, what have you. If the board will turn with me to page 11. Let's give everyone a moment to get there. Thank you very much. So on page 11, we have our first point, which is the rental rate. As mentioned, the subject property has been assessed with a rental rate of $7.34. Recent leasing from comparable properties suggests that the rental rate should fall between $6.25 and $7.95. Based on these rents, we are requesting a rental rate of $7 a square foot. And sorry, give me one moment here. Let me just clarify. Sorry, and I should clarify, these are asking rents, not in-place rents for these properties. So when we take a look at the properties, we were trying to look for comparable properties. So we looked at industrial properties, similar size to the subject property, similar clear wall height, similar zoning. And then we took a look at lease asking rents that occurred between March 2020 and January 2021. And we put that in, and that's what the information we're looking at is. Rationale for the looking at asking rents is we feel that does provide a ceiling in terms of the rental rate that the property will be able to achieve. People typically don't pay more than asking rents when it comes to looking for industrial properties. So we feel that that would be at the very, kind of the ceiling when we're looking at these properties. Here you can see those rents that we've provided there for the board's reference. If the board will jump with me in just a minute here, if we go down to page 22. Perfect. So starting, and I won't go through this exhaustively, but just starting on page 22, these are the leasing brochures that we had used to gather the rental information. You can see that one lease for 725 Inkster Boulevard, located in the middle of the page. You can see that there's space at 37,413 square feet, 30.5 foot clear wall height. The bill that offered at a rate of $6.50 a square foot. You can also see that there's a 402 square foot space within the building, offered at a rate of $6.95 a square foot. So continuing on these leases, this information continues on page 23 to 27, similar methodology for each one of them, taking a look at the industrial for lease information from Cushman and Wakefield, taking a look at the asking rents for those particular properties. So just to give the board a sense of where we gathered that information from, so they're aware. I'll leave it at that. If there are specific questions in terms of the lease comparables, I'm certainly happy to answer them. But if we jump back to page 12. Page 12, we have the comparable sales. So secondly, the second consideration we took a look at for the property were sales of comparable properties. Here we see the subject property is assessed at a rate of $105 a square foot, which is a 10.69% increase from the previous assessment cycle. M&P has taken a look at market transactions. We've identified 6 properties that we feel would be reasonable comparables. We provided those properties in the table below. You can see here, certainly considerations that went into looking at the properties were the year of construction of the property, the building size, as well as the building size of the property. When we take a look, and partly in terms of the sale date. So you can see that we've used sales ranging from 2018 to 2021. We can take a look at the sales, and we can see the sale price on a per square foot basis ranges from $79.70 all the way to a high of $107.99. Taking a look at these, we get an average of $89.67 and a median of $87.57. So again, the property has been the assessment for the property is at the $105 a square foot. It does look like, based on these sales, it does look like there is some support the fact that that assessment is too high for the property. If the board turns with me to page 13. On page 13, we have our capitalization rate analysis. Similar to what we've seen before, similar to what the city of Winnipeg does. We've taken the sales that we've identified as comparable. We've applied an appropriate rental rate. In this case, it's $7 a square foot, which we feel would be reasonable considering the size of these buildings as well as the age of the buildings. Same thing with the vacancy rate at 7%, expense allowance at 3%, and operating costs of $3.85. Using this, we calculated the net operating income for these properties. These net operating incomes range from a low of $137,153 to a high of $238,030. Dividing that net operating income by the sale price, we derive our calculated capitalization rates. You can see there in the far column that these capitalization rates range from 5.6% all the way to a high of 7.59%. Taking a look at the average, we have an average of 6.83 for the measure of central tendency, as well as a median of 6.93 as we take a look at these properties. So based on those parameters, we feel that a capitalization rate of 7% would be reasonable to apply when we're taking a look at the property. It also should be noted that when we use the 7% capitalization rate and the $7 rental rate, our value at $2,836,000 equates to a rate of $86.36 per square foot. When we take a look at page 12, and I'll just give a moment to jump back, we can see that $86 that $86.36 a square foot falls neatly within the range. So right around that median and average for the particular property, for our properties that we're looking at for the comparable properties. Page 14, we have our valuation, as previously mentioned, with that value of $2,836,000, using that $7 rental rate and the 7% capitalization rate. Page 19, we provide pictures of our leasing comparables. So on top of page 19, we have 1725 Inkster Boulevard. 25 on the bottom, we have 25 Paquin Road. Page 20, we have 965 Sherwin Road, and then 89 Bunting Street. Finally, we have page 21, 1450 Mountain Ave, and then 1169 Sherwin Road. So these are the lease comparables that we've used within our analysis. Page 22 to 27 are those asking rents, as I previously mentioned. And then starting on page 28, we have the pictures of the sales comparables that we've used, both when taking a look at the property on a per square foot basis, as well as the capitalization rate. So we have 1681 to 1693 Church Muir. And then below that, we have 700 Moray. Below that, on page 29, we have 81 Wellington, and then 700 Mission. Finally, we have 615 to 625 Henry, 1320 Church. Starting at page 31, continuing on until page 36 are the Johnson report documents, just showing where we gathered this information from. And then starting from page 38, continuing on to the end of the submission at page 60, we have information from the city of Winnipeg. This would be information from the 2023 general assessment for valuation of income producing properties. With that, I won't dive into any of that unless there are specific questions, and then we can certainly more than happy to dive in and answer any questions as they come up. With that, that concludes my presentation. I welcome any questions from the board or from the city. Thank you.
Mr. Harling, do you have any questions?
Just quick questions. Again, just a quick question on page 13, just the capitalization rate information you've shown here.
Yes.
I think you kind of mentioned already, like it's the same situation as previously, where you're just using the the rental rate and your own parameters, I guess. So this isn't income from the subjects, obviously, correct? Because you don't have that access, I'm assuming, to those. That
That's correct.
Okay. And just one other quick question was, I know you applied a 7% cap. Yet your average and median, you're using like a 6.83 to 6.93. Is there any reason why you didn't use any of those numbers? Like, why did you use a 7 opposed to those? Is that curiosity, or?
I guess when we take a look at this, we could have used 6.83, we could have used 6.93. We just felt 7. We just used 7 as a round number. As we were very close within those with a 6.93, so very close.
Okay, that's look like to happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
So on page 13, would you say that the 1320 Church is your best example then? With the same square footage, 1974 built. Similar square footage, I should say.
I'm just taking a look here. So yeah, because we're at 32,000. So that we're at 32,000. So that would be a little smaller in terms of square footage, about 10,000 square foot smaller. I mean, I think probably if we're taking a look at it, we would be more likely saying that 700 Mission would probably be, it's kind of similar year at 1972, 35,000 square feet versus 32,000 square feet for the subject property. So similar in terms of size. July 2019 would probably be the more comparable one, but again we're taking a look at a variety of sales to come up with that capitalization.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So you're comfortable that this particular property is not much riskier than the last property that we looked at where you gave it a 6.5?
Yeah, so again, I think when we take a look, so we're always kind of looking at what would be the comparable sales that we see within the area, and how does that line up with what investors' expectations are. as indicated, it's always a little bit hard to quantify risk. Certainly, we are a larger property at 35,000 square feet. That does bring some of the challenges as well. Just location of the city, where it's located. Again, so there's always a variety of different components that come into play when determining what the capitalization rate should be. So that's why we try to identify comparable sales and see what they result when it comes to cap.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any summary that anyone would like?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yep, I think I'm all right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good. So we'll move on to property number 3, 881 Berry Street. And I understand there is an issue that we need to deal with.
Yeah, there's the preliminary issue of the non-compliance. Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll just read the pertinent information quickly here. So the file number is 22-556. The roll number is 070-222-32700. The address is 881 Berry Street, and the owner is 1884901 Alberta Limited. So I'll just go into the non-compliance information. So if we go to page 13 of my brief, this is just the income expense or certified mailer we sent out, or the blank mailer. We send an initial mailer in May, is when we send the initial mailers out. And if we don't receive a response, we send out a certified mailer, which was dated June 9th, 2021. So if you continue to page 14 and 15, this is the blank mailer that we sent out, or the certified mailer. Now going to page 16 and 17, this is the actual information we received from Canada Post. So now, typically we send out a certified mailer, we would typically receive a signature. However, the mailing address for this particular property is actually located in Mississauga, Ontario. So Canada Post obviously wasn't able to provide us with a signature, unfortunately. So this is the information we do have in file though. And this is, if you look at page 17, this is the actual delivery progress tracking information we received. So I won't dispute that we do not have a signature for this one, again, because it's the location of the mailing is in Mississauga, Ontario, opposed to the city itself. I will note that the mailing address that we do send the tax bill, assessment notices, and everything else is the same mailing address at the 5905 Campus Road, Mississauga, Ontario. So they do receive that information. And lastly, the last time we received a mailer from the property was in 2015. So we haven't had any income information from the property in quite a few years to really see how the property is doing. So that would be essentially my presentation on the non-compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Applicant.
So I guess question, how do we know that if we don't have a signature, how do we know that this got to where it needed to be?
Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, since it is a certified mailer, but since we sent it to them, we are right. We don't have the signature, so I can't state with 100% confidence that they actually did receive it. No. So, but as I stated, though, we send the tax bills, assessment notices, everything to the same mailing address, which they do receive. So that's but you're right. I won't dispute that. So.
Then do you know? And okay, I guess. And you had indicated that Mississauga, Ontario. So is that, sorry, I missed what the significance was, because that would be, so why had you'd indicated that there might be some challenges because it's in Mississauga?
Well, like I said, since it's like a certified mailer, since Canada Post, obviously they would have to probably go through. I'm not sure why they weren't able to get it or why we weren't able to get the signature. So, but you're right. I won't dispute that we didn't get the signature, but I don't know. I can't state the reasoning why they couldn't get it. So, but.
Okay. All right, I think that, and then, sorry, yeah, okay, and then if we turn to page 17.
Yeah, this is just the tracking information. Yeah, exactly. You can, if you want to read the specifics of it. Yeah, so the item, as you can see, at the top says was returned to sender. So I guess they did not receive it then. So.
Okay. All right. Okay, I think that concludes all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a short recess while the panel deliberates this question.
Could I ask a question, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Matthew, on
Go
page
ahead.
17 of the tracking document, on June 30th, item redirected to recipient's new address. Does that tell you that you have a different address now than Mississauga?
No, and you know, what, I did notice that and I double checked that. I actually checked in our system of what mailing address we have in file is, and it actually is we only have one mailing address for every property, and it is actually at 5905 Campus Road, Mississauga, Ontario. So I understand that there's a difference there, but there's nothing in our system to indicate any new mailing addresses. We've had the same one in file since the property.
Okay, thank you. That clears for me.
Ms. Knight, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
And I have no questions.
Applicant, an opportunity to present as well.
I thought he did. Sorry. Would you like to present your information?
No, I don't have any, I
Thank
don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just step out.
Yep, please.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right.
Right. And we will resume the hearing. The board has made a decision to grant the non-compliance request by the city of Winnipeg. So that means that you go first, Mr. Applicant, and you might want to ensure that your client has updated his address.
All right, I will make sure we mention that.
Thank you.
Excellent. So if the board will turn with me to page 3 of our submission, if you can just let me know when you get there, we'll get started. Excellent. So the subject property consists of a warehouse constructed in 1956 and 1989. The assessed effective age of the building is 1965, and the assessed gross leasable area is 41,410 square feet. The assessed property has been assessed at a value of $4,535,000 and has been which is derived using the income approach to value. MVP is requesting a valuation for the property of $3,557,000. If the board can turn with me to page 5. So on page 5, we have our income request for the property. So the primary difference is in regards to the potential income. The property had initially been assessed with an income of $305,125. MVP is requesting a value of potential income of $279,518. Additionally, the property has been assessed with a 6.3% capitalization rate. MVP is requesting a capitalization rate of 7.5%. Using the adjusted potential income as well as a 7.5% capitalization rate, MVP is requesting that results in a capitalized value of $3,213,237. Additionally, there's an additional land component of $343,000 applied to that property, resulting in MMP's requested market value of $3,557,000. The board turns with me to page 7. On page 7, we have the income information from the city of Winnipeg. You can see here that the property has been assessed with a leasable area of 41,410 square feet. The potential rent there that's been applied of $305,125. Vacancy allowance of 7%, expense allowance of 3%, and expense shortfall of $3.85. The capitalization rate on page 8, you can see is 6.3%, resulting in a capitalized value of $4,191,952. With the additional land adjustment of $343,000 for an estimated market value of $4,535,000. If the board will turn with me to page 10. On page 10, we have a map of the subject property. This is courtesy of the City of Winnipeg Assessment Department. You can see the property is located between Barry Street and King Edward Street. We've got a satellite map on page 11 there, just showing the location of that property. Some overhead views on page 12 for that particular property. And then page 13, we have a couple of exterior photos of that property. It's worth noting that the property has a fairly low clear wall height. Based on the City of Winnipeg's information, the clear wall height ranges from 11 to 14 feet for this particular property. If the board turns with me to page 14. So the subject property in regards to the first issue, which is the rental rate. So the subject property has been assessed with a blended rental rate of $7.36 per square foot. Based on leasing for similar properties, it's M&P's position that a rental rate of $6.75 would be more appropriate. Here we provided 4 leases of industrial properties. You can see that they're located at 1500 Notre Dame Ave, 1175 Sherwin Road, 1720 Dublin Ave, and 2030 Notre Dame Ave. These leases started between 2017 and 2018. And we take a look, we can see that the size of these buildings range from 50,282 square feet to 61,209 square feet. The clear wall heights are a little bit higher on these. So the subject property has clear wall heights kind of in the range of 11 to 14 or 10 to 14 feet. In this case, the clear wall heights are 16 to 22 feet. Year of construction of these buildings range from 1952 to 1970. And when we take a look at the rental rates being achieved, we can see these rental rates range from a low of $5.50 to a high of $6.95. Below, we provided a map of the lease comparables, so you can see they're in relatively close proximity to the subject property. So the subject property is denoted in red, so that's 881 Barry Street. And then you can see those other properties located relatively close at 1500 Notre Dame, 1175 Sherwin, 1720 Dublin, and 2030 Notre Dame Ave. The second issue is the capitalization rate. As mentioned, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 6.3%. MP has looked at sales of similar properties within the area. We've identified 5 sales that we've looked at. Using these sales, we've determined that a capitalization rate of 7.5 would be reasonable. So taking a look at these sales, we can see that these properties range in size from about 23,000 square feet up to 57,000 square feet. We take a look at the clear wall height for these properties. They range from 12 to 28 feet, depending on the building. Sale dates range from 2018, so September 2018 to May 2020. When we take a look at the sale prices range from 1.55 million all the way to a high of 4.2 million. Using a similar methodology as we used previously and has been used by the city of Winnipeg, we have not been able to access the rental information or the financial information for these sales. So bearing that, we applied what we feel would be a reasonable rental rate. In this case, $6.75. We take a look at the property. We took a look at the property. We felt that would be a reasonable rate to apply. We've applied a 7% vacancy rate and non-recoverable of 3%, as well as an expense shortfall of $3.85. Using these parameters, we've calculated our net operating incomes. These range from a low of $136,349 to a high of $334,044. Dividing these net operating incomes by the sale prices, we calculate our capitalization rates. Our capitalization rates range from a low of 6.15% to a high of 8.8%. Taking a look at the average, we're at 7.55. Based on this information, it's MP's position that a capitalization rate of 7.5 would be reasonable when valuing the property. The board will turn with me to page 16. So initially, the property had been assessed at a value of $101.23, excluding the excess land. So that's just looking at the value of the building itself, not considering the excess land. When we take a look at similar properties, we can see that these properties are selling for values ranging from $66 to $95 per square foot. We provided a list of sales there, similar to the same list as what we've used for a capitalization rate analysis. Here you can see that as mentioned, the properties range from $66 to $95 a square foot for the sale price, with an average of $79 a square foot. When we take a look at those sales, we provided a map of those sales comparables that we've looked at. So I hope it's a little small, so I do apologize, but the red pin on that map indicates the subject property 881 Barry Street. You can see that 725 Century is in very close proximity, as well as 47 to 73 Airport, and as well as 1221 Sherwin. The property at 160 Eagle and 400 Oak Point are a little further away, but we do feel that they'd still be reasonable comparables to look at. Page 17, we have our conclusion. So again, in taking a look at this property and taking a look at the potential income, it's MP's position that the applied rental rate of $7.36 appears high. We're requesting a rate of $6.75 based on the leases we provided on page 14. As well, when we take a look at this, we feel that the capitalization rate applied to the property should be 7.5% versus the applied 6.3% capitalization rate. Continuing on to page 21. On page 21, we have the pictures of the leasing, the properties used in our leasing analysis. So we have 1500 Notre Dame Ave. There we have a couple pictures. Page 22, we have 1175 Sherwin. Page 22, on the bottom of page 22, we have 1720 Dublin Ave. And then on page 23, we have 2030 Notre Dame Ave. Starting at page 24, we have the sales used within our capitalization rate analysis, 725 Century Street. On page 25, we have 47 to 73 Airport, as well as 400 Oak Point. Page 26, we have 160 Eagle Drive, as well as 1221 Sherwin Road. Starting on page 27, continuing on to page 36, we have the Johnson Report. So this is where we gathered our sales information from. And then starting on page 38, continuing on until page 84, this is the supporting documentation provided by the City of Winnipeg. So this is the valuation of income producing properties, the 2023 assessment. That information can be found starting on page 38, continuing on until page 60. And then page 61, we have the same information, valuation of income producing properties from 2020 assessment, starting on page 61, continuing to page 84. With that concludes my presentation. I welcome any questions from the board or from the city. Thank you.
Mr. Harlan.
Actually, no, my questions actually were answered in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread.
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight.
So just to be clear, we are using sale prices to convert your charts to being the square footage price and the cap rate, not income from any of those properties, correct?
That's correct. Unfortunately, we don't have the income for
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
And I have no further questions. Mr. Harlan, would you like to proceed, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22-556. The roll number is 07022327000. The address is 881 Berry Street, and the owner is 1884901 Alberta Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $4,535,000. If you go to the bottom of page 1 of my brief, under the property description information, you'll see this property is an industrial warehouse use building. So 1 to 2 story buildings. There are 4 premises on the property. The actual year builds range from 1956 to 1989, which is similar to the effective year built. However, we're using an overall effective year built of 1965. As stated previously, the wall heights range from 10 to 14 feet. The land area is 174,210 square feet, with leasable area of 41,410 square feet, which gives us overall land to plan area of 4.45. If we go to page 2 of my brief, you'll see, obviously, we already spoke to the income information. The most recent sale we have on file is August 30th, 2016, where the property sold for $5,150,000, and there are no subject property leases in place. If we go to page 3 of my brief, you'll see the income workup. So now you'll see there we have 4 premises in this property, totaling a total area of 41,410 square feet. And you'll see the rents we are applying at 744, 718, 736, 708. We are using an overall blended rent of $7.37 a square foot. I'll break down the areas when I show you some photos later to give you the specifics. And then I've noticed you will notice that the leasable area, the rent on the higher leasable areas is slightly larger than the others. That would be due to the fact of, from the information I was able to find in the property, that would be the newer area of the space. So that's why there's a slightly higher rent on that particular area. But as I stated, we're using a blended rent of $7.37 a square foot. This gives us the overall potential rent of $125,000. We are applying 7% for vacancy, which then gives us an effective gross income of $283,766,000. We're allowing 3% for expenses, non-recoverable expenses, and $3.85 a square foot for shortfall. which gives us a net operating income of $264,093. Lastly, we are applying an overall capitalization rate of 6.30%, which gives us a capitalized value of $4,191,952. And as mentioned, we are actually have an additional land value of $343,000, which gives us the overall estimated market value $4,535,000. Now continue page 4 of my brief, you'll just see my rent comparables. So they range in lease start dates from 2018 to 2020. The lease terms range from 1 to 6 years. The leasable areas range from 1,950 square feet up to 47,500. The wall heights range from 14 to 27 feet. The effective year bills range from 1965 to 2000. And the net rents range from $7.95 a square foot to $10.08 a square foot. Now, if we just go to page 5, now this is regarding the additional land value we are assessing. So we're roughly assessing at the bottom of page 5, you look, 25% of excess, we have 25% of the land is excess land value at $343,000, or roughly 43,552 square feet of extra additional land is what we're applying for this property. So we're using a sale price per square foot on that, $7.87 a square foot. And some of my comparables here, 1 through 4, I apologize, the photos I had for these pictures didn't show up, so I'll just be speaking to the comparables themselves. So these comparables for the land sales range from 31,413 square feet up to 59,060 square feet, 69 square feet. These sale dates range from 2017 to 2019. And the price per square foot range from $7.48 to $13.53 a square foot. And again, we're using the land rate of $7.87 a square foot. So these would be the land sale comparables I'm using to support the additional land value. Going to page 6 of my brief. This is where the capitalization rate evidence. Again, we're using a 6.30% cap rate. So just looking under the city of Winnipeg's 28th percentile, the 6.3 falls within the range of cap rates of cap rates we apply for properties, industrial properties. And just looking at some of their published rates, Colliers, CRB, Cushman & Wakefield, I believe that 6.3 falls within Colliers and slightly higher than the CRB and Cushman & Wakefield. So, but I believe there's still support for our cap rate. Page 7 of the brief, just a municipal assessment tactics or information. Going to page 8 of my brief, you'll see the subject property map. So at the top there, you'll just see the property on 81 Berry Street, and then on the other side is King Edward. When I get to the pictures, I'll explain a bit more about that. And then further at the bottom of page 8, this is where, again, Berry Street entrance is, and then off the opposite side at King Edward, this is the other entrance. So this is just to show the property, how it's situated. So page 9 of my brief, you'll see some photos of the subject. So at the top, you'll just see a photo of the property. At the bottom of page 9, you'll see some of the additional land there at the corner. And then at the bottom of page 9, you'll just see the current business that's being used for there. It's a park and fly business. So it's a self-storage type parking for the airport. It's the business that's currently using it. So now going to page 10 of my brief, this is some of the photos of the subject. So you'll see there I'll just start with the additional land. So you look at the top of the page, that's where we'd be having the additional land. So we're looking at obviously obviously these are some parking stalls here. However, looking at the property itself in terms of what the potential of the land could be is there would be, if they were to cut that off, they could actually have excess space there, excess land if they wanted to add additional buildings there. So we're not looking so much at the business aspect of it. So we're looking at the property value of what potential of that value or that income or that additional land could you do. So that's the reason we have applied the excess land. So now you'll see there's multiple buildings. So the gray building is in a building, I believe, where they can park in there for heated parking. And then you'll see 3 buildings behind it. As I stated, I haven't inspected the property, but from the floor plans I have, I believe you can get access to those buildings through the main one there. So the bottom of page 10, you'll just see another photo of the subject property from a different angle. Now, if we go to page 11, you'll see there at the bottom, King Edward Street there, you'll see there's the 866 and 866. Now, those are 2 buildings that are behind the building that are accessed off King Edward Street. There was another business in that one building at the 866, the taller one, the 2-story building. I believe it's vacant currently at this time, or there was a tenant in there. There may have been a new tenant that moved in, but so they have essentially the park and fly business in the front, and then they have some additional buildings in the front that are they can use for a different business. So going to the bottom of page 11, you'll just see another photo of the subject property and just on the relation to all the buildings. And finally, page 12, you just kind of get an overview of the entire property. Again, just showing where it's located on Berry Street and then the opposite side for King Edward Street. I will note the parking portion of the building, you can only get access from Berry, whereas the other portion you can only get it from King Edward. So you can't get access to the back of the parking from King Edward Street. And page 13 through 17, we've already spoken to. That's regarding the income expense mailer information. And that is my presentation. I am open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for the assessor?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We can turn to page 1, please. So in terms of the clear wall height, it's 10 to 14 feet. Is that, so would that be desirable within the market at this point in time?
I won't dispute, like, for its age, it is a lower wall height. Yes, I won't dispute that. So it's a low wall height. Yes.
So in this case, would you expect a property with a lower clear wall height to have a higher or lower capitalization rate than what we see for other industrial properties?
Well, I think just to say the capitalization rate is not just based on the wall height, but you're right. I won't dispute that would affect the cap rate, though. Yes.
I think that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have questions?
Yes. Matthew, do you know if the owner occupies any one of those 4 premises, one or more of those premises?
Unfortunately, since we don't have the mailer information, so I can't verify that. I don't believe it is owner occupied. Like the information we have in our system, there's nothing to indicate that they are owner occupied. As I stated, the parking space is being used by this park and fly business, and the buildings in the front. There was a tenant in there, but I believe they vacated since. So, from my knowledge, I don't know if there's any currently owner occupied space in there.
Thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Knight,
No questions. Thank you.
could I direct that question to you, Mr. Van Bergen? Do you know if this is an owner occupied building? Or
It is an owner occupied.
it's
Yes.
an owner occupied?
Park and Fly owns the building and runs the business.
Okay, thank you very much.
Also, Madam Chair, there is rebuttal on this. I'm not sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I believe that's true. Go ahead. I think everyone has the rebuttal on their,
Yes, I do.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. So this is primarily this is in rebuttal to portion of this is in rebuttal to the rent comparables brought forward by the city on page 4 of their brief. If the board will turn with me to page 3, please, of our rebuttal documents, and I'll just give a moment to get there.
very small print.
Yes, I do apologize. Unfortunately, we've tried our best to extend it out as much as possible. So the first is for 89. So in regards to 89 Bunting Street, this property has had a lot of updates done to it over the last few years. So you can see, we start with page 3, outlining a number of the updates. You can see that there's been a number of interior alterations, which include mechanical and electrical work. Page 4, we go back to 2020 to 2019. Again, we can see that there has been interior alterations as well as a variety of other changes in terms of the fire system. HVAC, you can see, was updated on this space. And then continuing on until page 5, again, highlighting some further adjustments. So reason we bring this forward is the fact that, yes, while the property at 89 Bunting may technically have a year of construction on it of 1964, there have been substantial upgrades along the way to that particular property. As well, we see on bottom of page 5, we have an excerpt from a leasing brochure for 89 Bunting Street. Here you can see it outlines, in this case, significant upgrades planned, including perforated aluminum facade with decorative LED lighting, interior LED lighting, new dock levelers and area enclosures, new LED lighting throughout the warehouse. So we can see that there have been quite a few upgrades to this property. So really what we want to point out to you is the fact that as a comparable, because the original year of construction may be similar, but with all the work that's been put in, it would be our position that would rent at a different rental rate compared to the subject property and would not be a great comparable. If the board can move with me to the next page, that's page 6. This is 1221 Sherwin Road. And again, I apologize, recognizing that that this is very small writing. But this is in rebuttal to page 4 of the assessor's brief. They've indicated 1221 Sherwin. The property was leased January 14 for 2019 for $9.57. When we take a look, you can see the very top point there, occupant only. Buffalo Truck Driving to jointly occupy only 5,700 square feet of space as co-tenant with Future Transport, an existing office area of 57,169 square feet. Warehouse to be used as an office. So again, when we take a look at this, it would be our position that the lease is that the building is completed more so as an office. The space is being used more so as office versus as warehouse space. So again, you can see that, and that's part of the reason why we're seeing a $9.57 rental rate for that space. So again, it would be our position that that would not be a great comparable to be used when looking at the subject property. Finally, if the board will turn with me to page 8. So this is so as mentioned that the property had been purchased. They mentioned the property had been purchased in 2016. So again, I did reach out to the owner who was part of the purchaser to find out if we could get some more information. Unfortunately, I was unable to get any information. They were unable to provide any information as there had been some turnover. However, I did find this news article from the Winnipeg Free Press. Here we can see that Air Park, a longtime Winnipeg airport parking provider, has been acquired by Mississauga, Ontario-based firm Park and Fly. So this has been they announced this is from 2016. They announced on Thursday, this would have been Thursday in 2016, that they acquired the 24-year Winnipeg firm. And you can see the Air Park's outdoor parking facility at 881 Barrie is now operating as Park and Fly self parking. So again, one of the reasons I bring this forward is that purchase price would be our position of $5,150,000 would encompass not only the realty but also the business for that as they purchase their parking business and incorporate it into their own parking business. So again, we would put caution the board in terms of putting too much weight on that, as it does look like there are some non-realty items that would have transacted with that. With that, that concludes my presentation. I welcome any questions from the board or from the city. Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Suther?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Whitbread?
I'm fine, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Just to be clear, you're not contesting the additional land value that the city has put forward?
No.
Okay. Thank you. We will move to item number 10, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, number 10, which is 1350 Spruce Street. If you would like to go ahead, Mr. Harlan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22-522. The roll number is 13004119000. The address is 1350 Spruce Street, and the owner is Spruce Street Holdings Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 2021 is $2,220,000. I do have a preliminary issue just in terms of like on our end, just an adjustment I'm going to be making. So I'll just give the board a quick explanation of what it is. So you go to page 3 of my brief, the income workup. You'll notice we are using a total leasable area of 30,915 square feet. After reviewing Mr. Van Bruggen's brief as well as the mailer, I noticed there's a bit of a discrepancy in the leasable area. So again, we're at 30,915. The actual leasable area that's we actually have in our system, because there must have been an error, is actually supposed to be 29,367. So I'm making essentially an adjustment to that overall leasable area. So after making those adjustments, we get a revised value from the $2,220,000 to $2,105,000. So basically, I'm just trying to let the board know that will be my value going forward. So,
Could you repeat that for me? That number for me, please.
sure. It's $2,105,000.
Thank you.
So what does that make the potential rent then?
The potential rent then in that case would be 185,688.
185,688,
Correct.
and you're still using the same cap rate, 7.65,
That is correct.
and the new NOI would be?
The new what I would be 161,060.
Thank you. Same shortfall, sorry.
Shortfall would be the same. Vacancy would also be the same, as well as the non-recoverable expenses. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I just continue with my brief then, or Madam Chair, or?
You have any questions?
Sorry.
Sorry. We'll wait for that.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please, Mr. Harline.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So continuing under bottom page 1 of the property description information, you'll see this is a one-story building. It's an industrial warehouse use. The actual year built and effective year built in 1979. The wall heights are 17 feet. The land area is 61,079, with the leasable area of 30,915, which gives us an overall land plan area of 2.08. Going to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the request for income information has been received. The last sale we have on the subject was in 2018, which sold for $2,230,000. And at the bottom of page 2, you'll just see these are the current subject leases we have in place. So there's multiple, it's a multi-tenanted property. So you'll see the various leases that are in place, the lease start dates, lease terms, current tenants, and then the overall net rents, which range from 675 to 575, or 575 to 675. So those are the current leases that are in place. Now go to page 3 of my brief. This is the income workup of the subject. So you'll notice there are multiple premises. So there are 12 PIDs. This would be considered like a flex warehouse building. So there are multiple tenants, happen to be 12 tenants. So you'll see the leasable areas. As I stated, I've revised the leasable area to the 29,640. 367 square feet. Now the overall rent we're using for this subject now is actually $6.32 a square foot. So that would be the overall blended rent, and that would be the revised rent based on that removing of that or revising that leasable area. So this gives us an overall, again, revised potential rent of $185,688. We're still applying the 6.5% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $173,618. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, as well as $3.85 square foot for the shortfall. This would give us an overall net operating income of $161,060. And then lastly, we are applying a overall capitalization rate of 7.65%, which gives us that revised market value of $2,105,000. So turning to page 4, just some of my rent comparables. So my rent comparables range from 2016 to 2019 for lease start dates. They range from 3 to 5 years in lease terms. Leasable areas range from 1,200 square feet to 6,400 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 18 feet. The effective year builds range from 1963 to 1979. And the net rents range from $6 a square foot to $8.25 a square foot. And then just lastly, some comparables. So Sanford, Richard Street would be close by the subject. St. James and Border Street, obviously in the St. James area, same thing with Dublin. And then Airport Road is also being St. James. So I believe my comparables would be close to the subject as well. So going to page 5 of my brief is just the capitalization rate information. Again, we're applying a cap rate of 7.65%. So I believe that cap rate would be supported. Looking at the 28th percentile of our cap rates, it slightly falls out of that range, which would be due to some of the factors with the lower land to plan area, and also some things in the photos I'll show you, just the overall way the property is situated. So those would be some factors of why the location as well would be another factors of that lower cap rate. So I believe that cap rate would be well supported. I'll go to page 6 of my brief. Again, just some municipal assessment act excerpt information. Turning to page 7, you'll see the subject property map. So this is where the subject property is located on 1350 Spruce. So it's on Spruce Street, obviously, and just north of that is the Notre Dame Avenue. And you can kind of just see where it's in relation to Aaron Street, Wall Street. And go to page 8 of my brief. This is the actual photo of the subject property. So you can kind of see the current outline of the building, and then you'll see where it's located on Spruce Street and just opposite of that Valor Road. So, and then just north of that is, as I stated, North Dame Avenue. Turn to page 9. Yeah, so showing some photos of the subject. So at the top, I've just kind of showed like different portions of the buildings and the different photos just to show the entire building in its entirety. So at the top, that's just showing the various units. So you can see it's a multi-tenant building with multiple units in different spaces. Going to page 10 of my brief, you'll just see an overview of the subject property. You'll see the multiple addresses. So these would be the specific addresses for each of the different units in each of the portions of the building. And so it's, yeah, you can see too, it's definitely an irregular shaped building. Go to page 11, you'll just see some another photo of the subject from a different angle. And this continues on page 11. So you'll just kind of see too, obviously, like, you know, the access in the back wouldn't be as good as obviously other properties. Again, these would be some of the reasons for the cap rate we've applied. Further on page 12, this is just another angle view of the subject to show the whole building. And then the bottom of page 12 is just the front view of the subject property again. Going to page 13 of my brief. This is just the income expense mailer. So I've shown in its entirety just the actual income statements. This continues on page 14, 15 through 17. And these are just the rent rolls just to show the actual base rents. Again, as I showed in the front of my page brief, just showing the rents in place are the same rents that are on here. So that concludes my presentation. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harling. I should have asked you, Mr. Applicant, if you accepted the verbal recommendation.
Oh, I unfortunately I would have to talk to the client, so
Okay.
I unfortunately cannot accept it until I had a conversation.
Thank you for the record. Could you go ahead with your questions, please?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I don't know if I necessarily have any questions at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread,
I have none either. Thank you.
Ms. Knight,
No questions, thank you.
and I have no questions. Would you like to go ahead with your presentation, please?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. If the board will turn with me to page 5 of our submission, we'll get started. So there were 3 issues. The first one that looks like has now been addressed. So that would be this total rentable area within the property. As indicated, the property should be 29,367 square feet, which it sounds like has already been adjusted by the assessment department. When it comes to the assessed rental rate, the property has been assessed with a rental rate of, I believe it was $6.32, if I remember correctly. MVP is requesting a rental rate of $6.27. And then a capitalization rate, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 7.65%. MVP is requesting a capitalization rate for the property of 8.5%. Based on these parameter change, based on the change in area, the adjustment in terms of the potential income and the capitalization rate applied at 8.5%, MVP is requesting a value of $1,878,000 for the property. If the board will turn with me, so it's page 7 and 8 are just some information from the city of Winnipeg when it comes to the assessment of the property. Page 9, we have the property location. So this is just from the city of Winnipeg's assessment website, identifying where that property is located on Spruce Street there, as mentioned between Spruce Street and Valor Road. Page 10 and 11 are some overhead views of that property. And page 12, we have some views of sub-street views of that property as well. On page 13, we have the first issue, I guess the first 2 issues, which is the assessed area and the rental rate for the property. So as mentioned, we've provided the rent roll for this property. We've provided the rent roll in its entirety later on. But you can see here the property has a leased area of 29,367 square feet. And when we take a look at the base rent, the property is generating a base rent of $6.27 per square foot. Given the unique nature of the property, in terms of the size and configuration of space, we feel that the best indication of what market rents the property can achieve is the property itself. So that's why we've used that $6.27 as a blended rental rate when looking at the valuation of this property. So again, if we turn to page 14, On page 14, we've looked at comparable sales. So these sales have occurred. So again, we've identified 5 comparable sales within the market. We've taken a look at the properties, trying to match up, primary consideration is size of the building, as well as sale date. So you can see the sales here have all transacted within 2020. Year of construction of these buildings range from 1949 to 1981. And then when we see the clear wall height, we can see the clear wall height on these buildings ranging from 10 feet to 18 to 26 feet combined there. Overall, when we take a look at the sale price, dividing the sale price by the building area, we get sale prices per square foot, actually a pretty tight range, ranging from $56.40 up to $66.16. We take a look at the average. The average is $63.02 with a median of $64.18. The subject property, the initial assessment of the subject property was $71.81. So when taking a look at the property, again, it would be our position that these sales suggest that the property has been overassessed. And we would, so then if the board will move with me to page 15, we have our capitalization rate analysis. As mentioned, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 7.65%. Using the 5 sales utilized as identified earlier on, we can see and applying a rental rate of $6.27 per property. So same as what has been applied to the subject property. A vacancy rate of 6.5%, expense allowance of 3%, operating cost of $3.85. We calculate our net operating income. These range from $109,879 to $212,289. Dividing these by this purchase price, we calculate the capitalization rates for these properties, ranging from a low of 8.22% to a high of 9.64%. Taking a look at these, we calculate an average of 8.65 and a median of 8.47%. Again, taking a look at the sales of comparable properties, it would be M&P's position that a capitalization rate of 8.5% would be reasonable for the subject property. If the board will move back with me back to page 14. So taking a look at the requested value of $1,878,000 for the property, this yields a value of $63.96 per square foot, which puts the property right in line with what the average and the median sales are of similar properties within the area. Page 16 is a map of the similar sales which have been utilized. You can see the subject property located at it's kind of the light blue pin located in the middle of the page. That's 1350A Spruce Street. And then you can see the other properties that we've used as comparables located within close proximity. 725 Century Street, you can see kind of located a little bit to the right there. You can see we have 100 McPhillips Street. And then a little bit further on, we have the sale on Dufferin, as well as the Sutherland Ave sale, and then finally on the far side, 350 Archibald Street. So again, we're trying to identify properties that are, in similar-ish areas compared to the subject property when looking at a value. Page 17, we have our conclusion. So in terms of looking at the property, we've used the area of 29,367 square feet, that blended rental rate of $6.27 based on the actual performance of the property, as well as a requested capitalization rate of 8.5% to result in a requested value of $1,878,000 for this. Starting on page 23. Continuing on page 25, we have the rent roll for the subject property here, showing that. So we've used the April 1st, 2021 rent roll for this property, and you can see if the board turns with me to page 25, you can see the base rent applied on the property is $6.27. The area is indicated at 29,367 square feet. Page 26, we have the sales comparables which were utilized when determining a capitalization rate. So we have 516, 530 Dufferin, 100 McPhillips on page 26. Page 27, we have 725 Century and 350 Archibald. And then finally on page 28, we have 110 to 112 Sutherland. Starting on page 29, we have continuing on until page 31. We have the Johnson report, which outlines where we took the sales from. And then starting on page 33, continuing into page 55, we have information from the city of Winnipeg from the 2023 general assessment valuation of income producing properties. With that, I won't dive into it unless there's specific questions. With that, we conclude our presentation and welcome any questions from the board or from the city. Thank you.
Mr. Harlan, do you have any questions?
I think it's already answered, but I'll ask just quickly. So just looking at page 15, the cap rate information. It's the same situation, same methodology you've been using, correct? Like with the other properties, I assume, correct? Or
Correct. Yeah.
okay, that's all I have then. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread,
No, I have none. Thank you.
Ms. Knight,
No questions at this time. Thank you.
sorry, I'm just checking something here. Okay, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any summarization required?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think I'm right as well. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the final property, number 11. I believe we have a preliminary item. Mr.
That is
Harlan.
I will start with that. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the file number is 22547. The roll number is 13011330000. The address is 1149 St. Matthews Avenue, and the owner is the Clearline Group Incorporated. So as you mentioned, yeah, this one we do have another issue with the non-compliance. So I'll redirect you to page 14 of my brief. So again, this is the certified mailer we sent out on June 9th, 2021. As I mentioned previously, we sent out the initial mailer, so this would be the certified mailer. This continues on page 16, and then page 17. This is the only information we have on file. So we don't have, unfortunately, a signature. This is the information I was able to obtain from Canada Post. I tried calling them to ask them if they could provide me with more information, but they don't. So, so this is the only information I have on file. In departed, process, and then it says item redirected to recipient's new address. This was the same issue we had with the previous property, I remember, but the mailing address we have on file is it's 1149 St. Matthews Avenue. So that's where we send all our tax bills, assessment notices, and such. And then just on the page 18, I've just noticed the mailing address that we have on the application form is the same address. So we did send it the same address we send everything else to. And lastly, we haven't received an 18, 19, or 20 mailer. So that's basically my presentation on that is my presentation on the non-compliance.
Any questions for the assessor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on page 17, there's nothing to indicate that this was received by the owner of the property, is there?
Correct. Yeah, we do not have a signature. I won't dispute that. So
Okay. I think that concludes my questions.
Did the panel have any questions?
I do. So the page 18, Ellen Mason is signing that form showing the address as 1149 St. Matthews on June 24th, 2022. Is that correct?
that'd be the registered owner. And that's the mailing address they would have to file. And it's the same mailing address we have.
And that's the mailing address you sent everything to, correct?
Correct. Yeah. As I say, we only send the mailing address to one. We only have one mailing address in file just because things would get very
That's
confusing.
all. I just wanted to make sure that was the same mailing address
Sure.
that you sent out and he's agreed to in 2022. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
Along those lines, if I look at that same page, Matthew, above the signature, it looks like a green ink that says shareholder. Is that part of your form, or would that have been written in by the recipient?
That would be like the application we would send them, and they would fill that out. So unfortunately, I don't know the specifics of that. Unfortunately, I said, yeah, the application they'll send them. They get the application and they fill it out, and then we just would receive it after. So unfortunately, I don't know the specifics of that. So
Okay, and if I take it a little bit further, the Wesley Van Bruggen Senior Manager information below that then would be something that the owner would have put on the document, or would you, the city, have put that on the document?
No, we wouldn't fill that out. That's the authorization. So that's the just authorization of the agent. So this owner obviously authorized Mr. Van Bruggen to represent him. So that's just the authorization form, just to let them know that they,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Harlan, did you say that you also tried to call?
Well, I tried sending an email just to ask them if there was any information, but unfortunately I didn't get a response back. So I may have sent it the wrong email possibly. So, but like, as I stated though, unfortunately we don't have the signature on file though, so.
Thank you. Do you have anything further to add?
Sorry, just for clarification, when you said you tried reaching out, my initial thought was you'd reached out to Canada Post to get more information. Was it Canada Post that you reached out to, or was it the owner of the Clearline Group you reached out to?
Yeah, it was Canada Post. I tried to get information, and I also tried searching the tracking number online, but unfortunately, it didn't really give me any information. So unfortunately, like I said, I don't have any further information at this other than this. I apologize. So.
Okay, so it wasn't the owner that you tried reaching out to. It was
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not contact the owner.
Okay, all right. That's.
Sorry,
And
I have one more question. In June, this would have been June of 2021 that we were asking for the signature, correct?
Yeah, we always send them. Yeah, the mailer would have been. Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So at that time, was Canada Post actually getting signatures?
I don't believe so because we have some with some and some not. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, did you have something further to add?
No, that's fine.
Okay, we'll go into counter then. Okay, the board has determined that the compliance request will be granted. Would you like to go ahead, please?
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair. If the board will turn with me to page 3 when ready, we'll get started.
Go for it.
Thank you. So the subject property consists of 3 warehouse buildings built constructed between 1956 and 1967, with an overall age of 1964. Property has been assessed with a gross leasable area of 73,507 square feet, and it has been assessed at a total value of $2,828,000, derived using the income approach to valuation. The MMP is requesting a value for this property at $2,369,000. If the board will turn with me to page 5, this request of $2,369,000 is based on 2 components. One is a requested capitalization rate of 5.75%. The one is a requested rental rate. I apologize, rental rate of 5.75%. The second is a requested capitalization rate.
Sorry, a rental rate of 5.75%.
Yeah. I apologize. It's been a long day. A rental rate of $5.75.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologize. I will do better. And a requested capitalization rate of 10%. We've provided our income workup below. You can see we're requesting a potential income for the property of $423,028. 25% vacancy allowance, 3% expense allowance, using a $3.85 shortfall amount, and a capitalization rate of 10% to arrive at a requested value of $2,369,000. If the board will turn with me to page 7. On page 7, we have the the information from the City of Winnipeg Assessment Department. Here you can see the overall year built at 1964, the leasable area of 73,570 square feet. You can see that a potential income has been used for this property of $439,467. An expense allowance of a vacancy allowance of 25%, expense allowance of 3%. You can see here that we've used the shortfall is $70,811, which equates to $3.85 per square foot. And if the board turns with me to page 8, you can see that a capitalization rate of 8.8% has been applied. The resulting value is the assessed value of $2,828,000 for the property. Here you can see the commercial building area of the 3 different components of the site of the property. And then page 9, we have the commercial section details. You can see here on the commercial section details that the property has been built in a variety of phases, and we provide that information there. So starting in 1957, continuing on until 1967. With the majority, I believe the majority of the building was constructed in 1967. Page 10, we have a property, the assessment map provided by the city of Winnipeg. Here we can show the location of the property, just located on the corner of St. Matthews Ave and Wall Street. As well, we have a satellite map on page 11 and overhead maps on page 12 of that property. On page 12, I just like to highlight, you can see that there's a variety of components to the building, as you can see there on page 12. Page 13, we have a couple of exterior pictures of that property. I believe they're both from one's from Wall and one's from St. Matthews. Page 14, we have the valuation. The property has been assessed using a rental rate of $5.97 per square foot. And taking a look at lease comparables, we've determined that leasing of similar sized buildings is occurring between $4 and $6 per square foot. Here we provided our rent comparables that we've used for this particular property. This is a mixture of actual rents in place as well as asking rents where we found it. We can see here, and when we take a look at the property, we've looked at the building as a full, we've taken a look at leasing on a larger scale. So the leases that we've used within our analysis range from 24,297 square feet all the way to a high of 101,193 square feet. We take a look at the clear wall heights for this property. The property has been this property has clear wall heights ranging between 13 to 16 feet. We can see here that the clear wall heights for the leases that we've used range from 14 to 22 feet, or sorry, 14 to 30 feet. When we take a look at the dates where these leases took place, the earliest one is March 2012, with the latest one being 2018. And we can see the rents range from a low of $4 to a high of $6. When we take a look at the average of these, we get an average of $5.39 and a median of $5.75. Based on this, it's M&P's position that an appropriate rental rate to use for the property would be $5.75. If the board jumps with me to page 25. On page 25, we provide several of the lease comparables that we've utilized. Here you can see 861 McLeod Ave, 230 Panet Road, 1720 Dublin Ave, 1175 Sherwin Road, 1500 Notre Dame, as well as 1430 Church Ave. As well, if you move to page 26, we have 1201 Regent Ave West. So this is 106,000 square feet at $4 a square foot. This was leasing in the market September 2018. If the board jumps back with me to page 15. So the subject property has been assessed at a rate of $38.44, which is an increase of 34.6% from the previous assessment cycle. M&P has analyzed recent market transactions and determined that these properties are selling for values ranging from $18.96 to $35.55 as per the table below. Here we provided for sales that you can see. These properties have clear wall heights ranging from 9 to 12 feet to 11 to 23 feet. The subject property has clear wall heights ranging from 13 to 16 feet. Additionally, when we take a look at the property, these properties, we can see the year of construction range from 1905 to 1941. The size of the buildings range from 28,296 square feet to the largest building at 68,583 square feet. Sale dates range from 2017 to 2019, and sale prices range from a low of $775,000 to a high of $1,750,000. We take a look at the per square foot the sales on a per square foot basis. We see that these properties are transacting on a per square foot basis for a range of $18.96 to a high of $35.55, with an average of $29.29 and a median of $31.32. If the board moves with me to page 16. On page 16, we've taken a look at the capitalization rate. As mentioned, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 8.8%. Using the sales that we've identified, the 4 sales, we've kept and a rental rate of $5.75, vacancy rate of 25%, expense allowance of 3%, as well as operating expenses of $3.85. We arrive at our net operating incomes for these properties. They range from a low of $91,131 up to a high of $220,880. Dividing this net operating income by the sale price, we arrive at capitalization rates ranging from 9.06% to 16.99%. Again, taking a look at this, we felt that they were maybe a little bit high in terms of the capitalization rate. Based on that, we feel that a 10% capitalization rate would be reasonable for this property. If the board moves back with me one page, page 15. So using MP's requested value for this property of $2,369,000, this yields a value of $32.21 per square foot. And when we take a look at the average and median, that puts us just above the average and median of the sales that have occurred from the market. So again, taking a look at that, we do feel there is support there from other transactions, other similar properties that have transacted. Page 17, if the board will turn with me. Here we have the map of sales comparables that we've utilized. So the subject property is located, it's the purple pin kind of located towards the bottom of the map, just above St. Matthews Ave. You can see that property at 1149 St. Matthews Ave. And then when we take a look, you can see the locations of the other properties. So in relative close proximity, you can see the property directly to the north of the subject property. That's 1270 Notre Dame. Then you take a look over in the middle of the page. This is property at 567 to 579 Henry Ave. The property in the top right is 51 Aiken Street, and then the property in the kind of the right above the Mental Museum is 312-314 Ross Ave. Page 18, we have our conclusion. So again, when looking at the property, it's our position that the property has been overassessed. We feel that a rental rate of $5.75 per square foot would be more appropriate to apply, as well as a capitalization rate of 10%. Using these parameters, M&P has arrived at our requested value of $2,369,000 for the property. Page 21, if the board will turn with me. So starting on page 21, we have pictures of the leasing comparables that we've used. So we have 1720 Dublin Ave on the top of page 21, as well as 1201 Regent Ave West, located on the bottom of 21. Page 22, we have 1175 Sherwin Road, 1500 Notre Dame Ave, 2 pictures of that. Page 23, we have 1431 Church Ave. 23, bottom of page 23, we have 861 McLeod Ave. And then finally on page 24, we have 230 Panet Road. If the board turns with me to page 27. Page 27, we have the sales comparables. So we have 312, 314 Ross. Admittedly, a little bit of a different looking building, but again, we feel that would be, whereas we're taking a look at the properties, it'd be a reasonable comparable given the size, location. Page 27, we have 567 to 579 Henry. Page 28, we have 1270 Notre Dame. And then page 20, as well as 51 Aiken. Page 29, continuing on to page 36, we have the information where we collected our sales information. So this is the Johnson report. And then starting on page 38, continuing on until page 60, this is information provided by the City of Winnipeg. So this is in regards to the 2023 general assessment valuation of income producing properties. I won't dive into it unless there's specific questions, but with that, I conclude my presentation. I welcome any questions from the board or from the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harlan, do you have questions?
No, my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight,
No questions, thanks.
and I have no question. Mr. Harling, would you like to go ahead?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22547. The roll number is 130113300. The address is 1149 St. Matthews Avenue, and the owner is the Clearline Group Incorporated. The 2023 assessed value based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $2,828,000. Look at the bottom of page 1 of my brief. You'll see some property description information. You'll see it's a 1 to 2 story building. The actual years built range from 1956 to 1967, with an overall effective year built of 1964. The wall heights range from 13 to 16 feet. The land area is 76,691 square feet, with a plan area of 64,073 square feet, and a leasable area of 73,570 square feet, which gives us a land plan area of 1.20. Continuing page 12, my brief. We've already spoken about the income information, and there have been no recent sales. Last sale occurred in 2007 for $2 million, and there are no subject property leases in place. Page 3 of my brief, you'll see the income workup. Now there's 16 premises in total on this property. This property is essentially has many smaller units. I'll just quickly mention, I actually apologize when Mr. Rickford asked me before if I inspected the property. I haven't recently inspected. I had inspected in the past back in 2017, so I don't think it's changed much since then. But it was very there's a lot of different buildings, a lot of different offices in this building and different layout. It's a very cut up layout, if you will. So that's why there's so many premises. But again, it was the total leasable area is 73,570 square feet, and we are using an overall blended model rent of $5.97 a square foot, which gives us a potential rent of $439,467. We are applying a 25% vacancy loss. I will note that this is the highest vacancy we typically will apply for property. They've had some chronic vacancy issues in the past, so that's why we're applying the highest vacancy. Maybe going forward, when we see the other, we'll see if they're not having vacancy issues, we might change it, but typically we'll apply this when it comes to chronic vacancy. So this gives us an effective gross income of $329,600. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 for shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $248,901. And lastly, we were applying an overall capitalization rate of 8.0%, which gives us the estimated market value of $2,828,000. Just go on page 4 of my brief, you'll see some of my rent comparables, page 4 and 5. Again, there's a lot of smaller areas, so that's why I'm showing multiple comparables. They range in leasable area from 2016 to 2020. They range from 3 to 10 years in lease. There's areas range from 1,200 square feet to 10,000 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 16 feet. The wall heights are the effective year builds range from 1952 to 1979. And the net rents range from $6 a square foot to $8.25 a square foot. Continuing to page 6 of my brief, just the capitalization rate information. Again, we're applying an 8.0% cap rate. The reason for the higher cap rate would be due to the fact of the age of the building, the wall height, the low land plan area, being a bigger building as well. And as I stated, I've been in this building, it's definitely a bit older, and it's a lot of the layout's very not exactly a typical layout. So we feel the 8.8% cap rate is more than appropriate for the subject. Falls within outside the range of the 28th percentile, but again, I would consider it an outlier. And then so the other cap rates, other published rates, I won't be able to go into much because they don't really show information like that. So I'll bet you cap rate is supported. Page 7 of my brief is just the Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. Continuing on page 8, at the top of my brief, you'll see the subject map, again, where this is located on St. Matthews. So you'll see it's close to Wall Street, Ellis Avenue, Erin, Empress. So you'll see where it's situated. And then at the bottom of page 8, you'll just see the building itself, where it's located on St. Matthews and Wall Street. Page 9 of my brief, just some photos of the subject. So here's a front view of one of the main entrances to the building. Page 9 at the back is it would be at the further opposite end of the building. Page 10, just another angle view or just a further down view of the property. And then page 10, this is just on the opposite side of the building, going towards Ellis Avenue. So this is, so as you said, there's the building in various wall heights as well. Go to page 11, you'll just see an overview of the entire building. just the entire building where it's situated on the piece of land. This continues on page 12, just showing different angles from the top, from the back of the building, and then as at the bottom of page 12, you just see further view of the subject. Page 13, this just shows the view on St. Matthews Avenue, just to show the building again. And then further on page 13, just another overview of the building. Page 14 through 17, we've already spoken to. That would be the mailer information. And then page 18 is just the application form. That concludes my presentation. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the assessor?
I don't think I have any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
Matthew, I think you testified that you've not received any mailers since 2015. Is that correct?
No, that's sorry. 20. Let me just double check. I don't want to give you the wrong information. 2018 was the last mail that received.
2018, so a couple of years missing. How does the model identify a 25% vacancy rate in absence of any mailing information?
Well, that actually typically that would be something we would actually apply ourselves. The 25% cap rate or vacancy rate it wouldn't be model driven. We would actually go in there and put that on specifically after we would review information. As I stated, some of the previous mailers, it was a continuation chronicle vacancy. So we figured, okay, well, we don't have the mailer information, but we're still being, we're going to be still being fair with that and saying, okay, we're going to keep that vacancy on until we, see otherwise, and maybe the mailer, if they've become more tenanted, we would remove it at that point. But that would be something we would put on as ourselves when we review the property.
So in essence, that judgment call of yours causes a higher vacancy rate, which contributes to the numbers changing. If you didn't make that judgment call, correct? It may be in the 3 to 6% if it was a normal operating.
Correct. We would use more of like a market vacancy, which would be anywhere from 7% to 8%, for example. So yeah.
Yeah. And what is the connection of the cap then to your assessment of the vacancy? Is there a correlation to the cap? In my view, that's a fairly high cap.
Yeah, 8.8%. Yeah, I feel like the cap would be more inclined with the age of the building, the wall height, the very low land to plan ratio. And as I stated, I have actually been in this building previously back in 2017, and I remember when I was in there, it was very, like I said, the layout's very odd. It's not your typical, industrial warehouse. And you can even see at the back of the building, some of the photos, there's a rail line back there as well. It's not a main line, but it's an older building. So, and you can just even look at the roofs, you'll see there's different roofs, the colors of the different roofs. So there's just been a lot of, over the years, they've had to kind of, upgrade things here and there. So those would be some of the reasons for the higher, the 8.8% cap. So.
Yeah, I asked the question because I note your 1956 building in number 3 was only 6.3%. That's a very significant difference.
Yeah, I won't dispute that.
Okay, no further questions. I'm good, Matthew.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Richard went to what I was going to ask, so I'm good now.
Okay. And my questions have been answered as well. So we have heard, is there any summary required?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think I'm okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Ashley. That was very efficient.
You're very welcome.